I can start. My name is Martha Bell, and I'm the environmental educator at Island Heritage Trust on Deer Isle. And I've been doing environmental ed for a long time, working with marine education, now working with the land trust, sometimes in the woods and sometimes at the water's edge, and working with teachers quite often, but informal education. So this was very enticing for me to think about while you're all home, things that you might want to do. So I thought I'd share some ideas and hear what your interests are and what your needs are.
Awesome. Thanks, Martha. So I'm really excited to be doing this program with Martha. We've been collaborating with Island Heritage Trust. I work for Blue Hill Heritage Trust as the outreach coordinator, and we've been collaborating with them on a few things since COVID hit, and it's been so wonderful to have that collaboration. We also do the Friends from the Field webinar series as well. So my name's Lander, and I've worked for Blue Hill Heritage Trust for about a year and a few months now. And I grew up in this area and then went off to school to study environmental education, and have been working with kids outdoors for years now, and spent a lot of time outside myself growing up as a part-time homeschooler for a while. And so I'm just going to admit somebody else. As Martha said, we're really excited to share resources that we have with parents and families who are remote learning or homeschooling this year. And we have a lot of stuff that's either up on our website or that we're sharing with the community, or that we just have in our own brains that we'd love to kind of get out there into the world if anyone finds it useful. So thanks so much for joining us. And we just wanted to offer, if anyone wanted to do a quick introduction, it's not required, but if anyone wanted to share, like Martha said, something that you're hoping to get out of this, something that we could keep in mind for future months going forward. This is a real kind of trial session, really. It's our first, and we've never done something like this before. So if you have any suggestions, recommendations, or if you want to let us know, like the age of your children, what you're looking for, we can help, we can better tailor our presentation.
Hi, I'm happy to go. Hi, Lander. It's Paula. Nice to see you. I work in Somerville, Mass, which is a very dense urban area. And I work with, in the past, mostly preschoolers in nature play and nature education, environmental education over the years. But this summer, my focus kind of shifted to the 7 to 10-year-olds. And we had students from the Y come down to visit the community garden that I am the site coordinator of. And the reason that I'm here today is I was thinking about a couple of ideas that people had said to me, that early education here in Somerville, they wanted to think about having someone to do some short videos that would be shared with families, potentially bilingual as well. And it would be shared with families, and the idea would be to support families getting outdoors in the city and looking for nature. And I also have some background in mindfulness, so I was kind of adding in that piece as well. So I guess I was thinking about that, like how to go about creating short content that's rich, that reach the audience that you want to reach, and that is respectful of the communities that you work in, and you know, that kind of thing. And when I say short, I mean, I think they're thinking of early ed, so they're thinking of the younger kids. So I'm just thinking about that. And I haven't started it because I have, in all of this, refused to do anything video since COVID started. So, but I'm realizing that I may need to kind of shift my thinking a little bit. I can still be in person with kids sometimes, but there's a whole other group of children that I could reach if I decided to kind of branch out a little bit. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Paula, for sharing all of that. I think definitely both Martha and I have things that will hopefully be helpful to you.
So I'll go next. I am a mom of a 9-year-old daughter who is in virtual school right now, and she really enjoys and thrives on sort of hands-on education. So she, for instance, year ago, we took a canoe ride down the mouth of the Saco and out into the ocean. And she was able to say, I love learning this way. And I don't want her to be behind the screen all day. So I'm looking for ways that we can sort of pre-made lessons, because I'm trying to work myself, that don't require a lot of lesson planning for me, but we can get outside and do sort of a la carte pickup and be like really rich and deep without a lot of planning on my end.
Awesome. This is so helpful, everybody. Thank you. Thank you, Susan.
I'll go next. I'm Erika. I got two little ones at home. I've got Lily here, who's almost 5, and Hayden, 7. We pulled temporarily from public school and are homeschooling this year. We are trying to, we live on 22 acres of woods. So we're in an abundant, nature-rich area. And I just would love to know how to, just some good ideas on some more things we can be doing to make the most of that space.
Cool.
Oh, and Lily wants to say hi to Miss Paula because she sees Miss Paula there.
We'll go. I missed the beginning question. I'm sorry, I'm on a little late, but I'm here today because we are remote learning. I have 2 children, 2nd and 5th grade, and my 5th grader is pod schooling with a couple of other 5th graders, and so we're taking turns in the afternoons taking the kids on field trips for outdoor learning options. And so I'm just really curious what our options are. We kind of took advantage of the citizen science program for Schoodic and went out to Tidal Falls last week, and that was super fun. I'm just looking for some educational opportunities that we can also just skip school entirely for a field trip, as long as it's, you know, legit. So yeah, any and all of those ideas are really welcome.
Awesome.
Thank you.
I guess we'll go next. My name's Olivia and this is Adeline. She's 4 and we decided to not do public school for preschool this year. And we actually in Watertown, Massachusetts, we come up to Stonington and Deer Isle in the summertime. And we're looking for good ways to go out and use nature to help us learn. We live near a park and we have a nice backyard. So anything that you can help us with, that would be great.
Cool.
Say
Hi.
I'm
All right,
Paula,
thanks.
from
Thank you.
Surrey, and I'm helping my daughter homeschool my 2 granddaughters who are in 2nd grade and kindergarten, and we're doing the remote learning this year, and we're using some of the material on the Moose program that the Department of Education provided, and one of the themes that we kind of started with is how you can have a positive impact on your habitats. So we're really exploring habitats in Surrey, and my daughter has trails right on her property and she lives right by Toddy Pond. So we have a lot of areas to explore, and I live near Morgan Bay, and we have a lot of nature trails right in our neighborhood. So we've been spending some time exploring those different habitats and keeping nature journals. But I'm always interested in new ideas.
Awesome. Thanks, Paula. I think we're going to probably get a lot of ideas from everyone who's participating in this as well.
Great.
I don't know how this works exactly. Am I talking to you all?
Sure.
Yeah.
Hi.
Yes.
My name is Ruthie Ellis, and I live in Brooksville, Maine. And I have 2 boys, and this is Gabe, and then Savy over here, 7 and 10. And we love being outside, and I've always been a homeschool mom, so the transition hasn't been that difficult, except there were more resources like for science and like outdoor gatherings and things like that. And I guess I would love to see a little bit of like support in like guidance through maybe this group of like, hey, here's some ideas of here's like a little piece of paper that you can print off and you can go walk in the woods with, and you can go identify these plants, or that kind of thing would be really helpful for me. Just even if it was like a short little guidance. It doesn't need to be much, but I love the idea of also seeing other people together and collaborating with other families that are just knowing that there's other families out there that are in the woods. And yeah, that's great.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Ruthie.
Yeah.
And I guess I can just quickly introduce myself. My name is Pat. I am the Youth Education Coordinator at the East Quad and Land Trust, and I'm serving with TerraCorps/AmeriCorps. And I'm interested in just hearing just all different kinds of input as far as what families are looking for with, you know, their educational needs, hearing just general ideas for different programming, and then just kind of pitching some ideas that I've been thinking of. Like, I just started at the end of August, and I'm new to the Massachusetts area. So I'm taking basically any kind of input that I can and just, you know, doing my best to help my community.
Thank you. That's great. Yeah. If you have any ideas, that they're totally welcome, and we're welcoming ideas from any group members to share with the rest of us. So that's awesome.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right. Is that everyone? We might as well get started then. We haven't missed anyone, have we? No. All right. I'll start. One thing that I go out quite often with groups of kids of varying sizes, and I always have my backpack with me. And people say, well, what's in that backpack? Because besides the first aid kit, there's sort of a set of tools that I like to bring along. And I might not need them, but then again, if there's a lull in things, it's always good to pull something out. So some of the simplest of things, sometimes I'll have, you know, just something, these little color things that I've gotten from the paint store. Have you ever tried to match a green? It's not as easy as you think. So you could do the small little ones, but like that. But you can get these larger ones as well. And kids will go off and they want to be exact, and they'll find, oh no, the fern and the lichen, and you'll get them going. And then some of them will do it quickly. You come back and you give them another one, and they can go on and on with this kind of thing. So it gets them to look closely. It's really easy. I find if you have sort of the range of greens, it's better than if you have the pink and the yellow and the purple, because it just makes you look a little more closely. So that's one thing that I have in my backpack. Any kind of magnifying glass, or this is actually kind of a bug box. It has a magnifier on top. And so if you want to look at anything up close, if someone sees something, did you notice that? Do you think an insect's been eating that leaf? And you can go and look at it a little more closely, ask the questions, that kind of thing. You don't always have to have the answers, but I'm always finding one thing leads to another. And with the kids guiding, you end up in all different places with lots of questions in the end. And of course, if you're going to collect anything, it's always nice to have something that you can look at up close and then release it. So being respectful of the environment and the animals that are out there is always key to what we do out there. So that's always in my backpack. And sometimes I'll have a field guide with me. This is just an Acadia field guide that has everything from, you know, birds to plants to skunks, mammals to seashore. But if you're going out with a sort of a mission, you might want to have one. Once the kids start looking for birds, I'm always finding, like, you know, oh, let's look at the page. Which ones are similar? And before you know it, they might even be reading a field guide. You never know. Sometimes I bring binoculars along. If I model something, sometimes the kids are interested. So oftentimes I'll have something like this. Here I have just a little square to get them to look at something smaller. You know, everything is big and wonderful out there, but what if I put this down just on the ground? Am I going to see grasses? Am I going to see rocks? Am I going to see multiple different kinds of plants? And maybe there's even an ant in there or a praying mantis, who knows? So looking at things that are a little bit smaller can be nice. Let's see here. Sometimes having a compass along, it's good for safety, but it actually can bring up a lot of different kinds of questions. You might have a map with you, and, you know, where are we going? I have colored pencils in here as well. If anyone's inclined, there's always an art project. And then just a piece of string. So you could do a lot of different things with a piece of string, right? One time, I couldn't just make it into a loop, and we could almost do like, you know how you do a transect, you count everything that's in a circle, and maybe if you're at the beach, you might be looking at low tide or mid tide or high tide. They could be very different from place to place. You might identify periwinkles in one area and then get down a little further and you see clamshells, and then you get down to the water's edge and you see hermit crabs, right? Or maybe the grains of sand change shape. So you could use it for that. Any kind of habitat. Someone was talking about habitats before. If I made a big circle like this and I put it in the forest, it's going to be very different than my circle at the beach or in the meadow. And then another one, if you're feeling creative, I've used this for Ant National Park, just a piece of string. Let's imagine that we're going to make a national park for an ant. So the student could just start at the base of a tree. Where's that ant going to go in the day? Is it going to crawl up through the crevices of the bark and around the lichen? Oh, and it's going to jump over to that branch over there. Oh, and that's going to be its outlook or overlook. What is it going to see? And then maybe it's going to go down the tree. Oh, there's a hole there. I wonder if it's going down that hole. Maybe it has a friend down there. Just follow the ant through the day. Oh, we need something to eat. Where's he going to go to eat? And I don't know, before you know it, 6 feet goes by pretty quickly. You might need one that's 12 feet long. So a string can do all sorts of things. So those are a few things that I have in my backpack. And let's see, and another activity for this time of year is looking for seeds. I was thinking, with it being fall, there are so many seeds out there. You don't always have to know exactly what they are, but if you wanted to collect and put them into a collecting jar, you could do that. Or another thing you could do is just take a piece of paper with Scotch tape, and you find some seeds and just tape them to the paper. It happens very quickly, and you could just notice, oh, they're this size, or maybe they're coming out of a pod. Well, I have some in a pod here. Look at those little tiny seeds coming right from the pod. Or how about the head of a flower? Are those seeds in there? I'm not sure. Let's look closely. Oh, I think they are. They're sprinkling out here. And look at that. That almost looks like a mini dandelion. But of course, we know if we blew on that, we could probably get them to go all over the place. Another kind of seed. Oh, right from the garden here. And then, oh, how about berries? And inside the berry, oh, there's a seed right there. Some might be food. And, oh, I could just keep, oh, what's this one? From a big tree, an oak tree. I have an acorn, pine cones. So as you, oh, grasses. So you can see they're everywhere, and you can get really specific and try to identify where they're coming from. You could just collect them all and make some sort of art piece out of it. Or you could just appreciate that they come in all different shapes and sizes, and maybe they're really important food coming up for the fall. So I'd encourage all you to go out and do a little bit of searching for seeds at this time of year. And let's see. Oh, we were talking a little bit about citizen science kinds of things. September is Coast Week, and I have here the Coast Week data sheet. I think we'll have that as probably in our resources if you want to look it up. But if you're going to a beach, cleaning up a beach is a wonderful thing to do, but really looking at what is there. You know, what kind of trash is there? Is it from picnickers? Is it from the fishing industry? Is it hard plastic? Is it styrofoam? Did it break down and has been there for a long time? All these questions kind of come up. You know, maybe you're going to find a lot of lobster bands and you're going to be the inventor of the biodegradable lobster band. You know, things happen. How can we change that? You know, how come there's so many styrofoam cups? Maybe we need to have more reusable cups at the waterfront. You know, all those kinds of things will come up. So looking very closely, and you just make tally marks here and then count what is the most common thing that you find. And you can send this in to either the state, or this is actually the ocean, I'm sorry, this one here is the state coastal cleanup sheet, but there's a lot of people that will collect that kind of data. And then looking at microplastics, that's a whole nother thing that we could get into depending on the age of your kids. But one thing leads to another, as you all know. So that's one activity. And then Lander and I were talking about how much technology people wanted to use, and some people probably want to use some and some don't, but some of you are probably familiar with Inaturalist, and we can talk a little bit more about that in the future, but there is sort of this first phase of Inaturalist called Seek, and it's an app that you'd put on an iPad. So on my iPad I have, not sure you'll be able to see this, but let me just get to my Seek app. And let's see. I can take this here. I wonder what it is. Do I have any idea what it is? I don't know. I'm going to put it over here. And if I put it just into here, it's going to tell me, oh, it's tell me it's a pine. Oh, and then it'll tell me, oh, it's a white pine. And it has to do with how clear you can get that photo. They actually designed this because for iNaturalist, people use it as figuring out sort of what a population of an organism is in a certain area. And people were sending in kind of blurry photographs. And in order for them to realize that they really wanted you to get right to species, the very specific part, that they needed to kind of help people take better photographs. And by doing that, we have this wonderful ID opportunity. So it's called Seek, S-E-E-K, and it's first phase of iNaturalist, and we can talk about iNaturalist later. But there's lots and lots of citizen science opportunities out there, and I encourage you all to do those if you're interested. The question maybe from Erika?
Yeah, does Seek only do plants, or does it do other things as well?
That's what, you know, I always use it for plants. I haven't thought about that. Is anyone else, Paula, I'm wondering if you know. I'm thinking, do you use iNaturalist?
I don't, but I know I've walked a lot.
No, okay.
Guilford who does.
Yeah.
iNaturalist does work for plants.
I thought so.
It works for animals as well?
For trees and animals, yeah.
Yeah, it works for
Animals,
everything.
okay.
For birds.
Good, okay. And birds, all right, good. I'm never quick enough to bird photographs.
I have a question. Is Seek a separate app that you have to download in addition to iNaturalist? Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'll look for that. Thank you.
Yeah. And it's very, very easy to use. Once you've used it a few times, I will say it doesn't always get you exactly where you want to go, but it gives you an idea of where the general area. So sometimes you can't always get to species, but then you can go to your guidebook or narrow it down from there.
And can I just add one thing? When we did the citizen science project last week in Tidal Falls, we had extra time. And so we on Inaturalist, we were really curious what the other people had already pinned. And so we did a scavenger hunt, and I had the kids take turns, just pick a pin at Tidal Falls, because you get the satellite map of where you are, so you can even see where they pinned on the beach. And they would take turns and pinning, and then we would go look for that item, whether it was broadleaf sea lettuce or a certain type of plant. And then we realized, oh, you know, some of these plants aren't here right now because it's a different time of year, but it really gave us a sense of what was going on in that place over a certain amount of time. It was really fun. Just an idea.
Oh, great. Oh, that's fantastic. Good. Well, I think that's what I have for now. I think I'll turn it over to Lander, who has another set of interesting things to share. So,
thank you so much, Martha. That was so cool. I learned so much too. And thank you for participants jumping in and sharing as well. So I just have a few photographs of what I'm going to talk about on the slide. So I'm just going to share my screen. It's easier for me to remember, and I don't have Martha's handy dandy backpack situation. So can you see my screen? Okay, awesome. Put it into present mode. And can you still see it?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So I just wanted to add on to, Martha talked a little bit about seeds, and I don't have a slide for this, but it just reminded me, Blue Hill Heritage Trust now has a seed library. So if you're out there gathering seeds, and maybe you've used your Seek app to identify what plant it is, if you wanted to dry out some of those seeds and put them in an envelope and label them, you can always bring them or send them to Blue Hill Heritage Trust. And we're establishing a library with the Blue Hill Community Gardens and the Seed Barn to house a bunch of native seeds or garden seeds that then we can share. And so you can come and pick up some seeds if we have them available, or you can drop them off to just kind of create a seed exchange. So that's just something I wanted to add for the seed part. And then Martha also mentioned that she had a PDF for the coastal cleanup, and we have all of your emails, all of you who have registered, and so we're going to share some PDFs. I know Ruthie was asking about some potential printouts. I have a few, and then Martha had the coastal cleanup one, and perhaps some more as well. So some of you know this program that we do, and it touches on, I think, a few things. It's called Wild Sun Catchers, and it's a collaboration between Blue Hill Heritage Trust and Blue Hill Public Library. And it's a once a month program focusing on a plant that grows on our peninsula, and it's fairly accessible to everyone, kind of like the oak tree with acorns. Last month for August, it was blueberries. And prior to COVID, we were doing in-person workshops and gathering to celebrate and explore these wild plants. But now we're creating small videos. I remember Paula mentioned something about thinking of small videos to create. And we have these videos on the link at the base of this slide, so you can access all of the past month videos. And something kind of exciting about what we're doing now is, along with the video, we're providing a kit, as some of you know. And you can access the kits by emailing Claire, which I can include. I realize I don't have her email up here, but I can include that in an email that we send out to you. And so each month now there'll be a video for the plant of the month, as well as a kit for a craft that we talk about. Last month was acorn dolls. And you can watch a tutorial as well as learn about the ecology of the oak tree on the video on our website below. And then I'll also send you this PDF printout of how to make an acorn doll, the instructions and the materials. Next month for Wild Sun Catchers, we're going to be focusing on wild cranberries, which is really exciting. There will be kits available. We're going to do a little tutorial on how to make a natural dye with cranberries and dye a piece of muslin. And then also we're going to provide in the kit some little black stamps. And so you'll get a chance to slice the cranberry in half and make a print with the kind of scalloped star shape inside the cranberry. And then within the video, we're going to have a tour with Kip Quinby at Red Bog in Sedgwick, and that will be us filming it. I wish we could all be there together, but it will be us filming it, and she'll be talking about her work restoring the cranberry bog and a bit more about cranberries and animals and the kind of the ecology of it. And so if you would like to get a kit for this upcoming month, they'll be available in a couple of weeks. So email Claire at Blue Hill Public Library. And again, I will send her email in the follow-up email that I send out to all of you. And then these are some more PDFs that I actually put a lot of them together last spring as COVID hit, and there was a teacher who wanted some printouts and some easy things to send out with her students when they were at home. And so these are kind of ones, I have a bunch of them on our website, which I will also send you a link for. These are kind of more geared toward the fall, so, or that work well during this season. There's a nature art scavenger hunt, and where you can create a kind of mandalas or different types of shapes and characters with different found natural objects. There's a listening scavenger hunt, and a lot of these include little video tutorials as well, and I kind of describe how to go about it. There's a color collectors, which could be a great pairing with Martha's green cards. And this one, you go out and find like berries that you know are poisonous, and maybe some green leaves left over, or even some brown dirt, and you do some different rubbings to see what colors you can find. And then there's a cleanup scavenger hunt, which is also similar to something Martha talked about, and can be done on any beach or really anywhere. So I'll send out these PDFs so that you can print them if you like, and just go right out into the field to do these activities. It's helpful to have a clipboard if you do. And then this is kind of more for older students. I kind of threw this in here. We have, as I mentioned before, a Friends from the Field webinar series where local naturalists and kind of outdoor professionals will come and share something with us. And October 8th, coming up next week, we have one all about finding spiders in Maine. So if you're not creeped out by spiders and you're interested in spiders, it might be a cool one to attend. And then you could even go out on your walks and know a bit more about where to locate spiders if you want to identify them or see more variety. And then we have another one coming up October 22nd, a lifelong relationship with sweetgrass. And this is going to be done by a woman from the Penobscot Nation. She's Wabanaki. She's an elder, and she's going to talk about her relationship with this very important part of her culture. And I think she might demonstrate a craft as well, which will be pretty cool. And then this, I don't know if any of you have seen this yet, but this is something that just came out. It's a collaboration between Mainscape, Blue Hill Peninsula Chamber of Commerce, and Blue Hill Heritage Trust. And anyone, at least in our local area, and I apologize if this it isn't relevant for people in Massachusetts, but you might be able to do something similar on your own. But we're having a Scarecrow Contest. You can fill out this form, which I'll also include in your follow-up email if you're interested. Students from, well, actually really any age. There's an adult category as well, but 1 to 9 years old is a category, 10 to 17 years old is another category that you can submit under, or 18 years and older, so adults can as well. There will be prizes for all of those categories, and we're just encouraging everyone to come up with a really creative scarecrow to drop off at Mainscape, which is our local garden shop. And I think that is all that I have for my slideshow. Oh no, I do have one more thing. So as Martha said, we're going to talk more extensively about iNaturalist another time, because there's so much to learn. And as Martha said, like Seek is a really good place to start, and then you can move on to iNaturalist later. But I just wanted to put out there that we at Blue Hill Heritage Trust, we have a new observation projects on all of our Blue Hill Heritage Trust trails now, and it's very, very simple. You just upload the iNaturalist app on your iPhone or other device, and I think you might have to create an account, which is free, and then you can go onto any of our trails, search in the search box on iNaturalist, say Blue Hill Mountain, and the project will show up, and you can start taking photographs of anything you might see to add to our inventory, because we're just trying to catalog all the biodiversity on our trails. And so it's very general. It's not specific like the Starfish Project, which is so cool. It's more just one that anyone can do at any time to help us catalog species. And I love the idea of doing the scavenger hunt with the pins that somebody shared earlier, because a lot of people have started uploading photos that are relevant to this season on our trails. And so you might do that same thing on any of our trails as well. And we will share, we have a YouTube video of a training that we did on Inaturalist, so we could share that as well if anyone is interested in learning more about how to create their own project, maybe for their backyard or somewhere else. Okay, I think that's all my slides. Does anyone have any questions or anything that's come up for them that they would like to share with the group? I'm gonna stop my share.
Would I be able to just make a quick comment?
Yeah, go for it.
So just piggybacking off of Inaturalist, so besides being like a youth education coordinator, I have like a master's in biology. I study crayfish. That's the critter that you can see really quick as my little background thing. And Inaturalist, you know, even if you're just doing stuff in your backyard, scientists all around the world make use of Inaturalist to find different critters and document things. And speaking as a crayfish biologist, we have found new species in different locations because of citizen scientists, such as all of you that are participating today. So, you know, you might not think it's much, but, you know, taking a picture of like even just a little bug, that could be a new record for the state or just the general area. So it's definitely like a really cool thing to think about, of just how you're contributing and just being a scientist.
That's so awesome. Thank you, Patrick. That sets it into the bigger picture for sure, and really gives it a purpose.
I think I see some insects that have been at that leaf.
Yeah, yeah. My daughter, we found this yesterday. It's probably the biggest leaf we've ever seen. I guess you can't see for scale, but it's so huge. We thought she wanted to show everybody.
Yes.
It's bigger than my head.
I'm so glad to see it.
I don't know where it came from, but maybe we can take a picture. And, yeah. What
so cool.
It came from.
As we're talking about Inaturalist, it's making me think of, we have Phenology Trails, both in Blue Hill and down in Deer Isle. And that's all set up through Nature's Notebook. And it really looks at when the leaves are coming out with the buds, and then when the flowers come out, and then when the fruits come out. And it's meant to keep track of it, because we're thinking about the migrating birds, and is the food source going to be there as they're moving back and forth. And that's kind of changing as the years go by, and we're trying to have some sort of baseline so we know how that might change. So you can do it with Nature's Notebook, but you can also just go out and start noticing, you know, when the fruits are there and when the fruits are gone. Some fruits are gone now, and some are still, I see some red winterberry right outside my window. So just noticing the seasonal changes at this time of year is great. And as far as video goes, I know at Island Heritage Trust, we never thought we'd do videos. I never thought I'd be in a video, but we've definitely gone out to some of our preserves and made some videos about what's at preserves. You know, one week we're in a salt marsh, another time we're in a vernal pool, so in a field, at the shore. So if you ever want to tap into any of those, feel free. I can probably find the links to those as well.
Awesome. Yeah, Martha, if you send them to me, I'll put them in the follow-up email.
I have a question about, for those of you who have done videos. I was wondering, like, in your experience and maybe with feedback from either teachers or kids, from parents, caregivers, what have you found to be a good length in terms of, because you want to share information, but you also want, the caregiver or the family to feel inspired to go outside with the child. So I'm just wondering about, like, from people's experience, what feedback they've received, or what's the length of what they have found to be working. And when I say for the ages, I'm thinking of, first for caregivers who are with the preschool age, and then kids who might be older, like, the 7 to 12s, which you could be speaking more directly to them, but in some places they're still going to need to go out with a caregiver in certain areas. So yeah, just I'd love to hear what people's experience.
Yeah, I could jump in really quick, and then I'd love to hear from other people too. We've kind of done a combination for the scavenger hunt, like, tutorials that I mentioned earlier. I think they were like 3 minutes, and that was for second graders kind of doing something at home, and they just like watch it really quick, and it was kind of just a way to do the scavenger hunt. They didn't have to do it exactly that way, but just to kind of see an instructor demonstrating it like they would if they were in school. And then probably our longest videos, which we would actually love more feedback on, but the videos that we've been making for wild sun catchers are like 20 minutes. And so it's a pretty hefty video. And we have, it's generally, I present something, generally Claire from the library presents something, and then we have a community member jump in and present something as well. And sometimes the craft takes a while to demonstrate, and so people can follow along. So yeah, I guess I would just say we've done some that are like 3 minutes, and then the longest would be like 20.
That's sort of the range of what we've done with ours. They weren't necessarily just educational videos. They were sort of like a tour of a preserve. But if the students are looking at the video, short is usually better. I'd go less than 10 minutes on that, and give lots of information and then let them go. I would think it was probably the best way to inspire them, and then there's a bit of freedom to make their discoveries.
Well, any other questions or anything?
I was going to share a couple of things, but I was just giving a space in case anyone else had an answer for the video. But another app that I have found that I've really enjoyed using, mostly because we had a bird land in our yard that we'd never seen before, and none of our field guides had the bird in it. And so we're like, oh God, we got was the Cornell has something called the Cornell Lab, and it's called Merlin. And it kind of looks like this, and yes, you do have to create a login, but it's free. And but you can do a bird ID, but you can also submit photos as well, so it's just more specific to birds. But I've found that really helpful just as we're exploring and finding new outside. And then I just want to say that I have really enjoyed teaching my kids navigation and like the cardinal directions, and just to remind folks, I have a almost 5 and a 7-year-old, so they've really enjoyed when we go hiking on the trust trails, using the maps to try to figure out where we are on the trail and what direction we need to go in, especially if there's like the Patton Stream Trail where it's a figure 8, you can totally go a few different directions. And so we started trying to maybe do some of that here as we've developed trails in our woods, having our kids make our own trail maps too. So it's kind of a nice art activity, but it also involves a little math and some other aspects too that you could totally count towards schooling, I think.
I love that. Thank you, Erika. That's really cool. Cool. Well, so I think we're probably slowly coming to a close. We can hang on for more questions if people have them. Our next Learning with Nature family Zoom call I think is November 6th, if I'm remembering correctly. And along with Martha and I, we have another educator joining us to share ideas, and her name is Julianne Taylor. She used to be the Explore Outdoors educator for Blue Hill Heritage Trust in Down East Audubon and Great Pond Mountain, and now she's the educator at Bar Harbor Whale Watch. So I think we'll get some cool perspectives and information from her. And then in December, we have Tate Yoder. He's a photographer and filmographer in his early 20s, who's done actually some beautiful work for Blue Hill Heritage Trust and LL Bean and other places. And he's going to share tips on really cool nature photography for families and kids, and how to go out and capture some of what you see through that type of lens. And then probably in the next few days, you'll get a follow-up email with all the resources we shared and the printouts. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reply to that email, and I'll send it out from both Martha and I. Anything else, Martha?
That sounds good. Yes. No, we'll gather some new activities for next time. If anyone has any areas that they feel like they're going to be diving into in the next month or so, and you want us to cover them, don't hesitate to let us know. We'd be happy to kind of pull together things around a certain topic if you have the interest.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for mentioning that, Martha. That would be super helpful to us, and we would love to hear your ideas. Good luck and have fun out there.
Well, thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Happy October.
Yeah.